This is Wretched Radio with Todd Friel.
You know, the nearer your destination, the more you slip sliding away.
It's too late for slipping and sliding. This is Wretched Radio.
I'd call that a train wreck, but it was more of a horse wreck.
That was a music mix. You see, I'm beating the horse to death while the country is slip sliding away, but I can't help but wonder if what we are seeing in our culture, knowing full well that everything that we see being played out in civilizations has a lot more to do with a spiritual battle than the physical realms would seem to indicate. And I wonder if we aren't getting faked out a little bit. This is like this would be like Keurig. No, that's the coffee guy. The coffee maker, the Australian tennis player, very volatile, very talented, undisciplined, Kyrgios, I think is his name. And he was playing in a tournament. I don't know if it was Wimbledon. Sorry. I'm just still a little verklempt from Roger Federer losing in the fifth set. 13-12. So this fella from Australia is playing Rafael Nadal in tennis at some tournament. And Nadal, as is his the way that he manages the court, his strategy is to stand way back. This kid's a big server, so he's almost against where the stands are. And this kid does an underhanded serve, a little dribbler, and Nadal is so far back he can't get totally duped, deked out. Is that what it used to be called? It was a trick play. They do it in football, sometimes I guess in basketball, where they do the end around and the rope-a-dope and they do a trick play. I wonder if the devil isn't doing the same thing. I wonder. He's crafty, you know, and he is a master of deception. After all, he is the father of lies. If anybody's good at it, it is the devil. And as he goes about the business of trying to undermine what the Bible clearly says is going to be God's victory, you got to give the devil some props in that he is persistent. He has read the book. He knows the ending better than we do. He probably has a better understanding of Revelation than all of us put together. And the message of Revelation is the devil loses, Jesus wins, and we get to win with him. And yet, even though he's never been able to thwart God's plan of redemption, even though he wasn't able to get Herod to actually kill Jesus Christ, he wasn't able to tempt Jesus to get him to sin and fail in his mission. And by the way, make the entire universe disappear, because if God sinned, which he can't do, everything would be, nothing would work. That would be the devil win, an entire disaster. He's never been successful at that. And yet he tries and he tries and he tries. And it has always been my contention. He does it. His modus operandi is to create strategies and implement them through spiritual realms of authority. I think Ephesians 6 helps us with this, that somehow he has it structured so that he kind of masterminds, I think, the big ideas. And then he's got generals, and then he's got colonels, and he's got captains, and he's got foot soldiers in the spiritual realm. And they go about the business of implementing his big bad ideas. And many of them have not stuck. He's been thwarted way more times than he's been successful. Do you know how many Adolf Hitlers he's worked on? I would suspect a lot of them, but we only know of one of them. He's probably tried to raise up a lot of mass murderers, but only a few of them. He's thrown out a lot of bad religions. There are thousands of really wonky religious ideas. Why did Buddhism catch? Because God let it. Devil's idea, because anything that is not of God, God doesn't create false religious systems. The devil does. That one worked. Flim-flam? That's another religion, by the way. You've just never heard about it. But it started, by the way, Flim-flam was actually started, you're going to be surprised at this, Hawaii. In the 1940s, Flim-flam just never took root. It was the devil's idea, where he thought that if everybody would be attracted to wearing a lei around their neck, it would cause the ecosystem to go out of whack, because we would need all of those pretty flowers. And then he could cause global warming to bring an end to the planet. And Friel just didn't work out. He's created a bunch of them. Hinduism stuck, Islam stuck. By the way, did you read the article, I think in the New York Times, that Buddhists are starting to go, on second thought, maybe we're not going to be so peaceful toward Muslims anymore. They pushed them to the brink, where even Buddhists are going, that's enough. We got to fight back now. Fascinating. Speaking of Islamic terrorism, it was in, here it is right here. Be praying for your brothers and sisters overseas, I'm telling you. This is in 100 men and women, Christians incinerated in well-targeted attack. The exact number of victims who died in Sobame Da, a mainly Christian village, this is in Africa, isn't known. Many of the bodies were burned beyond recognition. Death toll in this instance, 100 to 135. BBC reporting it was just the latest of the attacks by jihadi groups. No one was spared, women, children, elderly people. Buddhists are going, I think we've had enough of that. We're taking off the saffron robes. We're fighting now. By the way, another note, commissioned in December by Jeremy Hunt. This is a study about persecution from the Foreign Secretary in Great Britain. 80% of religiously motivated attacks in the world are against Christians. That is 80%, mostly by Muslims. So whose idea was Islam? The devil's. My wife's speculation. You can take this for whatever you think it's worth. The same angel that appeared, the same demon rather, that appeared to Muhammad was the same one that appeared to Joseph Smith and gave him his wacky ideas. It happened to stick. He's appeared to a lot of people. They just didn't stick. False systems popping up all over the place. Why? To undermine God, what he is doing, so that he thinks he can win. And he's not going to win because we know that Jesus wins. That's what the Bible tells us. And yet he persists. Now the question for us is, what do we do? How do we respond to this? I think we're getting duped. I think we're getting a trick play thrown against us where we're going, the country's slipping away, when we should be going, souls are slipping away. This is a sign of a deeper problem. I loved the America from yesteryear a lot too. That isn't my point. But we are citizens of a different kingdom. And I wonder if the devil is throwing us a lob this way and we're chasing after it when the big issue is over there. And it's keeping our eyes from it. And our eyes should be on evangelism. What does it profit? Pretty much anybody. If, let's just say, for instance, polyamory, according to the APA, so now the DSM-5 says that polyamory is a mental illness. And by the way, another study that was done in Great Britain, a bunch of scientists concluded all of the scientific labels that psychiatrists put on people, they're completely worthless. We knew that. Nevertheless, what does it matter if all of a sudden the DSM-5 kind of gets in order? And they see that, look, if you're born with these parts, you're a boy. If you're born with those parts, you're a girl. Well, that's a good thing, right? It's a good thing. But what if those people who come to their senses and recognize that there's male and female, period, die and go to hell? Huh? What if all the people who are confused about their gender, and there are people who are confused about it, you and I don't get that, but they are. So let's say they're unconfused. That's good. But they die and go to hell. Is it possible? I'm just wondering, as we see a country sliding away, that we're chasing after, we got to get that back. And that's really more of the devil's scheme to distract us from, no, we've got to be soul winners. We've got to be about our master's business. And I wonder, the Benedict option, I don't know if you're familiar with this. The Benedict option is one that's being floated by a Roman Catholic. Was it Rod Dreher that floated that? I believe so. That going back to like a Benedictine monk back hundreds of years ago, we got to kind of pull it in. We got to just kind of get this close community and create our own little Christian ecosystem. Well, okay, but I don't think so. I don't think that's what we're supposed to be, though, is the church. I would ask you a question. As we come into political season here, will you spend as much time having angst over these dopey liberal politicians as you will for an unreached people group in your neighborhood? Just asking. I'm asking. I'm just wondering, will I spend as much time sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ as I will talking to people about this party, that platform, who's voting, why this person should win, why that person should lose? How much time will I dedicate to the, while they're not irrelevant things, but the not eternal things? Is it possible that as we watch a country and an entire civilization slide away, and it's a bummer, and I get the value of it getting fixed, that it's distracting us from the greater task, and the greater task is sharing the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ, not just with the lost world we live in, but with our families. Are these distractions even keeping us from evangelizing the people we love the most? Just wondering if we need a priority check. This is Wretched Radio.
Would you please like, subscribe, or share this video so other people can enjoy this professional Christian content?